every single day truly can be an adventure. And that's definitely how I've set up my life. It's interesting. Mr. 20 was talking about people who need a vacation from work or avoid work or are running from work. And my thing is just the opposite. Like, I purposely set up a life where the vacation is part of the daily, the daily deal, People ask me all the time, are you going to go on a vacation? But I honestly feel like I'm on a vacation all the time. I've set up my business so that someone else pays for the first class trip to an exotic location so that I can give a 45-minute presentation and have 2 days, to explore this exotic location. And I do this every single month, 12 times a year, right? I don't need a vacation from what I love because it's what I love, right? It's an adventure. And when it stops being fun, even for just a moment, then I move on to something else. Put it down for a little bit. I have tons of stuff going on. I've shared with you guys before, I've got all kind of musical things always baking, right? 25 years I've had different projects, live projects, recordings, studio stuff. I was a party DJ for almost 5 years. I was a tour DJ. I was a radio DJ and programmer. Things evolve, and as long as you don't fear that change, it becomes an adventure. And that's really how I've developed my life. Like I said, there may come a point where it becomes work. And when you really look at it and you notice, hey, I'm forcing something here. It's up to you to take that noticing and make a change. Shift your focus to something else for a little bit, That's what I do. You guys know I'm a serial entrepreneur. I've got tons of stuff going on. Everything from a health and wellness company to clothing apparel line where I design all the clothing myself. I do graphic design. I do music. I do coaching. I do business consultation. I'm into this guy called Neville Goddard. If you guys are reading this book, you probably might be into him too. If not, I suggest you get into him a little bit more. As Tony would say, dive deeper. Because he would tell you consciousness is the only reality. And if we can imagine it and truly experience it in our imagination, we can experience it in our day-to-day life. Our so-called physical reality, right? So that's my adventure. That's my goal on a daily basis. What can I adventure? Right? There's several music things, and 20 was mentioned a mutual friend named Jerry Amica who came to visit him in Australia. He has an interesting podcast and show on Facebook you guys might want to check out called Music Mindset Monologue, where he takes music and he breaks it down. He shares some insights behind those things. And I'm drawn to that because the way he thinks about things is the way I think about things as well. Right? Like I said, music has always been a go-to. And even though it's not the affirmations or mantras create anything, right? It's a way to express something instead, right? So people are always looking for secondary causes of what causes things to happen in your life. And I just want to leave with you that I know that it's imagination. Right? I know it's what you're aware of being. And you can change that from day to day. So I challenge you to adventure out. Build vacations into your every single day. Okay? It doesn't have to be, you don't have to go to exotic locations to be on vacation, right? It's about going out and experiencing people, experiencing nature, people, places, things. One of the things I share with my coaching clients is I believe that, especially Americans, but I think the world in general suffers from ADD. And not the attention deficit disorder that some would say, a mental diagnosis. I'm talking about adventure deficit disorder. You don't allow yourself to go out and play, have an adventure, look at change as possibility, and I would invite you to do that today.
Alrighty. I don't do things to get things done. Sometimes that means I take an extra day or so to do something like this recording. But every day I do things. Every day I dance delightfully. Every single day. I also don't do things to add in. Hey, Mr. 2020, you want to make some extra money? My answer? No. I'm not interested in extra money. I'm interested in exponential growth. I'm interested in what's beyond that. I'm interested in what happens. If you get one person trying to carry a table through the garden, it's a little weird. It's tough, right? 2 people do it. It's not half as hard. It's like a fourth as hard. I'm finding writing this little book and it might become a big book, who knows, with Tony, absolutely delightful. I could ramble to this thing and do a transcript on my own every day. I'm fascinated to see what happens because when you allow it to happen, magic happens. Some people call it synergy. All I know is when 2 people are willing to dance, or even when I'm willing to dance with myself, something magical happens. What I hate about most public speakers, especially politicians, is they know what's coming. They know what they're going to say. They've practiced it to the point where they're not curious. I'm always curious about what I'm going to say next, whether it's in a training, in a group call, in this project. I am fascinated to discover what's going to show up next because I know where we're going. But I also get to discover what's along the way. If you were going from Pittsburgh to Portland, you know where you're going, but the road trip is the road trip. You might even know what highways and what byways and what back alleys and what trails you're going to take. But you get to discover the views and the food and the people and the side trips along the way. I don't do anything that's not fun. When I do, I'm cranky. And I don't do it for long because I go, right, how can I let this be fun? How can I let this enhance? How can I let this be a discovery, an adventure? Because from what I can tell, I keep saying this, what you are is God having the adventure of a lifetime. I'm big on adventure. I am not big on assertions. These are the facts of life, Mr. 20. Right. You see, I might be a 54-year-old man. Right? Married. Well, not married. In the same relationship for 10 years, married for most of it. But yep, 54-year-old married man, 10 years. Statistically, Mr. 20, this is what? I'm not interested in statistics. I'm interested in the adventure, because you can define me as a 54-year-old man in a monogamous relationship for 10 years. Definition, done. You could also define me as an Aries, a fire horse, someone who was born in the budding tree's moon. You could define me as an NLP expert, a Neville Goddard expert, an author, a writer, a podcaster. You could define me, and I'm a vlogger, I guess. They didn't have that term when I started. But it's funny to me, because you could define me in all kinds of ways. Or you could discover me in the moment. You could define you in all kinds of ways. Or you can discover you on a moment-by-moment basis. Even though you know where you're going, I know where I'm going. I know what I'm doing. I know what I'm up to. But I also get to explore the lovely mischief along the way. Alrighty. Tony, it's your turn. See you, buddy.